Stevie Nicks has always been surrounded by an air of mystique and glitz, what with her decades-long solo career and her legendary voice as lead singer of Fleetwood Mac. However, few have truly understood the story of suffering and tragedy that lies beneath the glamour and splendor. Discover the tragic realities that have influenced Nicks' rise to fame as one of the most legendary figures in rock music in this chilling documentary that delves into the shadowy side of her life. Jess and Barbara Nicks welcomed their daughter, Stephanie Lynn Nicks, into the world on May 26, 1948 in Phoenix, Arizona. She has a mixed family tree that includes Irish, Welsh, and Germanic origins. When Stevie was just 4 years old, her grandfather, J. Nicks Sr., showed her the joys of singing, guided her in harmonizing with his voice. As a nurturing parent figure, her mother confined her to the house and encouraged her interest in fairy tales. Stevie had trouble pronouncing her own name when she was a tiny girl, referring to herself as TD. Her cute moniker Stevie sprang from this. Phoenix, Albuquerque, El Paso, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco were among the many locales her family called home due to her father's many job relocations. She began penning her debut songs, "I've Loved and I've Lost and I'm Sad but Not Blue," when she was 16 years old after receiving a Goya guitar. When Stevie was a teenager, she was totally absorbed in music, crafting her own miniature universe. Known for their gorgeous harmonies, the folk rock band The Changing Times was Stevie's first musical endeavor while she was a student at California's Arcadia High School. She met Lindsey Buckingham, her future musical partner and love interest, during her senior year at Menlo Atherton High School. At a Young Life club, she witnessed him play California Dreamin' and decided to sing along. Stevie thought he was charming, she recalled. After two of Fritz's members left, Buckingham invited Stevie to become lead singer, and the two of them continued performing psychedelic rock music. Fritz was Stevie's inspiration for her electrifying stage persona. The two of them opened for great musicians like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. She became an English teacher after attending San Jose State University, where she and Stevie continued their education. But she chose to drop out of college and join Buckingham in his music career with her father's blessing. Stevie and Lindsey kept making music together even after Fritz broke up in 1972, recording demos in Daly City, California at night. After much negotiation, they finally inked a contract with Polydor Records, and in 1973 they dropped an album simply named Buckingham Nicks. Tragically, Polydor let them go after the record failed to chart. Stevie had to work many jobs to make ends meet because their music wasn't generating any cash, and Lindsey got mononucleosis, a virus that produces a sore throat and, in rare instances, problems. After living with Lindsey for a while, she and Keith Olsen moved out, although she continued working as a waitress and even cleaned Olsen's house. Around the same time, Stevie started using white stuff, thinking it was harmless. Lindsey went on tour with the Everly Brothers, but Stevie remained at home to concentrate on songwriting. She created Rhiannon after seeing a name in the novel Triad. She eventually came to identify more strongly with Rhiannon in the Mabinogion novels and went so far as to purchase the rights to make a film version of the story. Inspiring both the breathtaking Aspen landscape and the difficulties of her relationship with Lindsey, she penned Landslide as well. Frozen Love by Buckingham Nicks was played to drummer Mick Fleetwood by a producer named Keith Olsen in late 1974. In his search for a recording facility, Mick recalled Buckingham's outstanding guitar work. Following guitarist Bob Welch's departure, Mick reached out to Buckingham and extended an invitation for him to become a member of Fleetwood Mac. Refusing to join without Stevie, Buckingham said that the two of them were inseparable. The band transformed Fleetwood Mac from a British group into an Anglo-American one after deciding that Stevie and Lindsey would make the band even better. Everyone in the band thought that Stevie and Lindsey's harmony brought a pop touch to the blues-based rock sound after their first few practices. Fleetwood Mac's 1975 self-titled album was an international smash. Rolling Stone magazine even went so far as to say that Stevie's song Rhiannon is one of the all-time greats. Mick Fleetwood likened her live renditions of the song to an exorcism because of how strong they were. Radio stations aired the album's popular song Landslide millions of times, Stevie Cooper collaborated with fashion designer Margie Kent to develop a distinct stage persona as she became self-aware of her performance image. She wore shawls, platform boots, and long skirts in a boho manner. Even though Stevie and Lindsay's relationship was on the rocks, Fleetwood Mac was doing well. Ultimately, Stevie made the decision to terminate the relationship. In early 1976, Fleetwood Mac began recording what would later be known as Rumours. The album didn't wrap up until late that year. Warren Zevon's CD featured Stevie and Lindsay singing background vocals. Dreams, which became the band's lone #1 hit, was one of Stevie's contributions to Rumours. Silver Springs was another song she penned and recorded. Unfortunately, the band didn't want too many slow songs on the album, so it wasn't featured due to its length. The band's decision to omit Silver Springs irritated the recording engineer, who thought the song was superbly written and had some of the band's finest guitar work. A B-side to the single Go Your Own Way was released at a later date. It was named Silver Springs, and it dealt with her troubled relationship with Lindsay. Fans of Fleetwood Mac quickly realized the single's rarity and value. In 1992, Fleetwood Mac released a 4-disc retrospective album that featured Silver Springs. The second album by Fleetwood Mac with Stevie Nicks and Lindsay -1977's Rumours went on to sell millions of copies and become the best-selling album of 1977. For 31 weeks, it was the most played album in the United States, and it also topped the charts in other nations. Among the album's 4 top 10 songs was Stevie's Dreams, which helped it win a Grammy. After a performance in New Zealand in November 1977, Stevie and Mick Fleetwood began an affair behind the scenes. Back then, Mick had a wife. Stevie expressed her shock and shame at the turn of events, saying she never expected this to happen to her. The affair ended because she loved Mick and his family too much to let it continue. Shortly after it began, Stevie halted the affair, claiming that it would have doomed Fleetwood Mac if left unchecked. Mick had already divorced his wife by October 1978 in favor of Sarah Ricashure, a friend of Stevie's. The members of Fleetwood Mac, Stevie, Lindsay, Christine, and John McVie, were all dealing with their own personal demons as their fame grew. Both Stevie and Lindsay had rejected down low-paying jobs in the past. Stevie was furious at being forced to work as a waitress. As she wished for a stronger bond with the band, she informed Lindsay that they must resolve their issues. Unfortunately, things were becoming trickier, and problems persisted even between Christine and John McVie. In 1976, Christine had an affair with a lighting director. Nonetheless, while Stevie was recording Rumours, Christine mentored her. Rumours was a record that dealt with the band members' breakups in a romantic way. Both Secondhand News and Never Going Back Again were emotional compositions by Buckingham. The Ebb and Flow of Women was the subject of Stevie's Dreams, while Christine's affair was the subject of You Make Loving Fun. Rumours was a Grammy winner, but the band members weren't satisfied with their success and were seeking love elsewhere. The members of Fleetwood Mac worked extremely hard to maintain the band's unity despite their disagreements. However, Stevie Nicks' voice began to suffer as the band continued their nightly tour. John Rockwell, a music writer, observed nodules, small, solid lumps on Stevie's vocal cords in July 1977. Due to her scratchy voice and inability to reach higher notes, several of her shows had to be postponed. Back in August of that year, Stevie opened up about her struggles. She complained that her singing voice was getting worse when she spoke normally. The only way for her to recover was to undergo specialized steam treatments and refrain from talking or gargling. Steve Jobs famously stated, "I'll just do the best I can," when the band was on vacation from touring. However, there was something else that Mr. Rockwell observed about Stevie. She was behaving carelessly and not taking her work seriously enough, in his opinion. What he omitted from his statement was the fact that Stevie was becoming heavily dependent on drugs and alcohol. In the early 1980s, Stevie Nicks was ensnared in a deadly white stuff addiction. Her habit worsened during filming her renowned video Gypsy, and she battled to break free even though she tried to quit as early as 1982. She exacerbated the problem by starting to smoke cigarettes in a chain. In 1986, the devastating effects of her substance abuse were clearly visible. The white material had burned a hole in her nasal septum. After much deliberation, Nicks's loved ones stepped in, demanding that she get medical attention. In an interview with Rolling Stone, her close friend Tom Petty revealed, "I was genuinely worried about her. I wouldn't have been surprised if I had gotten a call informing me that she had died." To get her issue under control, Nicks checked into the Betty Ford Clinic in 1986. Several impactful songs reflecting her challenges and eventual recovery were born out of this experience. The Other Side of the Mirror, Nicks's solo album, contained the songs I'm Doing the Best I Can and Escape from Berlin, while Fleetwood Mac's album Tango in the Night featured songs like Welcome to the Room, Sarah, and When I See You Again. Yet there were obstacles along Nicks's path to recovery. She developed a dependence to clonopin in the late 1980s, despite her psychiatrist having given it to her for her panic problem. As a result, she returned to the clinic in 1993 for more treatment. While appearing on Oprah Winfrey's Masterclass series in 2013, Nicks reflected on her life and issued a strong warning to viewers. Do not spend money if you are battling an addiction. Although getting help will be expensive, it is essential that you do so or face the possibility of losing your life. Stevie Nicks told People magazine a terrifying story in 1998. The day in 1986 that her plastic surgeon gave her the grim warning that her cocaine use could cause a catastrophic brain bleed if she didn't stop. Her physical health had taken a hit due to her battles with addiction, but the threat served as a wake-up call. Nicks gained a lot of weight after her many stays in rehabilitation, lifting up to 175 pounds. During her concerts at the Clinton White House, her weight gain was clearly visible. She finally snapped at the conclusion of her 1994 tour. She had lost a lot of self-assurance due to the relentless bullying and body shaming she had endured, causing her to seriously consider abandoning her cherished music profession. Adding insult to injury, Nicks learned she had Epstein-Barr virus, the cause of her chronic exhaustion. Her weight became an issue in the music industry, which is unfortunate. Even more impressive is the fact that Marceline and Carol L. Thompson, two college students, investigated the fall in album sales of Nicks in the early 90s and linked it to her weight increase. Album sales dropped, they reasoned, because female fans couldn't connect with the once heavenly voice. For the sake of her profession and her sense of self-worth, Nicks swore an oath. She insisted on losing weight before returning to the stage. A strict, low-carb, high-protein diet helped her lose 30 pounds in 1995. A love affair between Stevie Nicks and Don Henley, lead singer of the Eagles, began in the late 1970s when Nicks found herself with more independence. On the bluesy song Leather and Lace from Nicks' 1981 debut album Belladonna, Henley's influence is palpable. Their relationship ended despite the fact that rumors of their impending marriage persisted. Nicks told Vox magazine in 1992, after all these years had passed, that she had been pregnant by not one but 3 men, including Henley. She talked about how it was a terrible choice she had to make in order to follow her artistic career, but she ultimately decided to terminate the pregnancies. Nicks gave more details on her decision to not have children in 2009, telling the Western Australian that her music came first, even above her conventional family life. As for Henley's assertion that they wrote Sarah in memory of their unborn child, she addressed that as well. Sarah Reeker, who went on to marry Mick Fleetwood, was the real inspiration for the song, according to Nicks, who emphasized that she had planned to call her daughter Sarah. Stevie Nicks is still troubled by a lingering memory. Kim Anderson, her close friend Robin Snyder's widow, was her spouse. Robin was told she had leukemia and would not survive when she received her diagnosis in 1983. While visiting the hospital, Nicks would use drugs and alcohol to dull the agony of her loss. She should get sober and not visit when she was under the influence, her worried buddy told her. Matthew, Robin Snyder's newborn baby, was left behind when she tragically passed unexpectedly. Anderson needed someone to lean on, so Nicks proposed marriage as a possible solution. Others, however, strongly disapproved of their decision. After the fact, Nicks saw that her marriage had been an ill-advised attempt to satisfy her false belief about what Robin would have desired. When she looked down at the baby's motionless cradle, she saw her mistake. She had taken her friend's signal to dissolve the marriage. Their divorce was finalized 3 months after that. Matthew, the son of Nicks's late friend, remains a significant other after the dissolution of her marriage. A major commercial disappointment was the 1990 album Behind the Mask by Fleetwood Mac. In September, after this letdown, Stevie Nicks opted to quit the band and focus on her solo career. There have been rumors that a dispute with Mick Fleetwood over his solo album's usage of her song Silver Springs was a factor in her decision to leave. Nicks went on a solo adventure when he left the band, debuted her unique vocal and songwriting talents on the albums she released. Time Space The Best of Stevie Nicks was a 1991 compilation CD that she put together to commemorate the 10th anniversary of her solo professional start. Both critics and listeners praised the album, which cemented Nicks' status as a beloved solo performer. Although Nicks mostly pursued a solo career in the beginning, she did a short reunion with Fleetwood Mac in 1992 for President Bill Clinton's inauguration ball. Despite her early aspirations of remaining a permanent band member, she found that pursuing solo projects allowed her more creative flexibility and allowed her to grow as an individual. But Nicks has always had a soft spot for Fleetwood Mac and the way they worked together. In 1997, for the album The Dance, Nicks returned to Fleetwood Mac, fueled by her love of music and the urge to share her compositions with the world. A watershed moment in her career came when she reunited with her bandmates for a reunion performance which allowed her to rediscover the thrill of performing with them. Even now, Nicks keeps her dedication to Fleetwood Mac and her solo career in check, making significant contributions to both continue to establish her as a legendary and groundbreaking female musician of her day. The career of Stevie Nicks has been nothing short of spectacular since 1977. She has received an astounding 14 Grammy nominations and won 2 with Fleetwood Mac. She may not have won a Grammy for her solo work just yet, but her impact on the music industry is indisputable. Her solo album's commercial success is one of Nicks's greatest accomplishments. More than 5 million copies of 1981's Belladonna have been sold in the US alone. Rock roll royalty Nicks was crowned by Rolling Stone, who also included her in their list of the 100 greatest singers of all time for her incredible skill. Among Nicks's other platinum-selling albums are Rock, The Other Side of the Mirror, and The Wild Heart. Over 140 million records have been sold worldwide by Nicks, including her work with Fleetwood Mac. In addition to her many musical achievements, Nicks has touched many people's lives in profound ways. To help wounded troops receive music on iPods, she established the Stevie Nicks Troops Angel Foundation in 2006. Nicks founded the group and even composed a song about it in 2011. Drawing inspiration from her experiences visiting wounded soldiers, the United Service Organizations presented Nicks with the Outstanding Achievement Award in 2015 in recognition of her charitable work. As a fighter and innovator, Stevie Nicks left an impression that motivates people to this day. Once again, she broke new ground in 2019 when she became the first female to receive 2 inductions into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Harry Styles, the musician Nicks lovingly calls the son I never had, celebrated her entrance. An abundance of thankfulness permeates Nicks's life. Aside from her beloved connections and devoted fan base, she has been incredibly successful financially, with an estimated net worth of $75 million. Nicks is humble and keeps on touring. She even had a concert DVD, 24 karat gold, released not long ago. The fact that Nicks was never able to meet the legendary feminist and legal icon Ruth Bader Ginsburg is one of her few regrets. After recognizing Ginsburg's significant influence on women's rights, Nicks voiced her admiration for her. Honoring Ginsburg for her groundbreaking work in the struggle for equality, Nicks inducted her into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of Life, a fitting homage to her as a genuine political rock star.